Hey guys, Chris again. So I got a Switch 2 for my birthday, and I got the chance to finally play Mario Kart World. It is just amazing. The huge interconnected open world, knockout tour, free roam, the return of missions, the costumes and hilarious new characters, banger soundtrack, and so on. In fact, the only real gripes I have with this are the character select screen, like why do I have to scroll all the way from a character on one end just to select a character on the other, and why are the costumes organized like something in Mario Kart 8 with the alternate versions of certain characters? The way you unlock the NPC drivers, the Kamek item is so rare, and there's a chance it will spawn a character you already have, or just doesn't transform you if you're not in a specific radius from Kamek. And the battle mode. There's only balloon battle and coin runners like in Mario Kart Wii and 7. The stages are mostly just the racetracks again. And there's only two true battle stages. Big Donut, which we've seen before, and what Chain Chomp Desert, which, yeah, at least Balloon Battle is last man standing now, and the racetracks are modified to beta suit battle mode, so yeah, but they don't, and will never stop me from loving this game. Today, I'll be ranking all the racetracks and variants this game has to offer, including the Versus Race exclusive variants being the 3 Super Mario circuits, the Daisy Palace route of Shy Guy Bazaar, and the third and combined routes of Crown City. Those, with all the Grand Prix tracks, gives us a total of 38 tracks to rank. And that's all I got for the intro. Let's get into it, starting with the D tier, the tracks that are just mid. But there's only one D tier track here, so in this case, the track that is just mid. Since there's no tracks in this game, in my opinion, that are F tier material, which is great, but of course there's one track I don't like all that much, and I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with this. Peach Stadium 1. This was just underwhelming. Seriously, the track, icon, and battle mode footage was all we got until release. So it was exciting to find out what it was going to be like. But this is an oval with cars. That's all it is. If it weren't for the cars, setting, and the great music, this would be an F tier track. You know, this would have been just better off as a battle stage only. And that's all I got to say about this underwhelming oval. Now we move on to the C tier, the tracks that are okay, but there's just much better options. Mario Circuit 1, the one that started it all. It's literally the same as it was before. A few turns and a shortcut with a few pipes in between. This goes for the whole Mario Circuit area, but the music is actually remixed though, which I like. And they changed the setting too from a patch of road and sand in the middle of a grassy nowhere to an actual raceway with a giant Mario statue in the middle of the area and a large audience surrounding it. I really like this approach. It makes it more lively, although it's just background stuff and it doesn't affect the layout. Mario Circuit 3, the William Afton of Mario Kart. It always comes back, and it's also the same as it was before. Turns and a shortcut with scattered pipes. Shocker. Also, why do they have to keep bringing this back? This track appeared a total of 6 times throughout the series. Why can't you just bring back something like Mario Circuit 4, which never got remade? And no, Super Circuit doesn't count. Desert Hills, because fuck Dry Dry Ruins. This one has changes like flattening the hills, replacing the Pokies and Fire Snakes with Tokotokas and Batatons, and adding a glide ramp at the end. The layout is mostly the same, the music is decent, and I do like this type of desert aesthetic here, admittedly more than the original Mario Bros. 3 desert aesthetic. It's just more pleasing to my eyes. I wish it still had the Angry Sun, however, and the Pokey and Fire Snake replacement wasn't really necessary, especially considering the fact that they're both in the game. They could have just added the Tokotokos and Batatons alongside them, but overall it's an improvement, but it's still just an okay track. Mario Circuit 2, most famous for its big jump, and that's the only thing that's changed for this one. The glide ramp was replaced with the standard boost ramp. Understandable, since you'd basically be flying off the track if it were present. On to the B tier, the tracks that I do like at the very least. Mario Bros. Circuit, the first track of the game, and it's one of the most decent beginners out there. Rather than taking place in a grassland or Formula 1 type area, this takes place in a Mesa desert area. I really appreciate Nintendo for doing something different this time around in terms of theming for the beginning track. I speak for everyone when saying this, but this gives off Radiator Springs vibes from the Pixar Cars franchise. I like that, being nostalgic for the franchise itself. The music is welcoming, it does a good job introducing the grinding gimmick, as well as having a cool, easily accessible alternate route. However, since it is the beginner track, there is the simplicity of the layout and you can only do so much with that. Koopa Troopa Beach. Not much to say, so I'll say what I've got. The layout has been simplified a bit and is nothing more than just a small circle. They got rid of the holes, and the name could and did get people mixed up with N64 Koopa Troopa Beach. However, the beach party theme is amazing, the music slaps, and to compensate for its short length, it's 5 laps like in the original. Nice. Moo Moo Minnows. I like this track, but it really didn't need to come back for now, considering it was one of the original Mario Kart 8 retro tracks back in 2014. It's mostly the same as before, only now being more like a farmland racetrack derby type thing, with a giant Moo Moo statue near the beginning, bleachers surrounding the area with a large audience, and that's it. Overall pretty good, just could have gone with either Moo Moo Farm or a Nitro Moo Moo track. DK Pass, what was then just a snowy mountain, is now a ski resort. I like it, just could have gone with DK Snowboard Cross instead. Otherwise, it's mostly the same old DK Pass we know, with the same layout and good old cheerful holiday music. Rest in peace to the snowman before the finish, and that shortcut item box though. Mario Circuit's full combined layout. Yeah, I got nothing to say since I just said what I had to say about the SNES Mario Circuits in this game. Only difference here is that they're just combined. Shy Guy Bazaar. Finally, after being thrown to the side by Cheeseland and Mario Kart 8, it's here on a home console game, and it's still pretty good. It retains its signature Arabian desert theme, plus simple but fun layout with the addition of rails, and the remix is okay. I love the fact that just by the appearance of Daisy's Palace, this is now a part of Sarasan Land. Sky High Sunday. Out of all of the tour tracks, this one came back over Squeaky Clean Sprint, Ninja Hideaway, Yoshi's Island, Piranha Plant Pipeline. They made it actually enjoyable, so I don't mind it all that much. Sure, it's still an oval and the music is just barely modified from the 8 Deluxe version, but aside from the visual upgrade, which kinda makes me want to eat it, it's now actually fun to play on. With the huge amount of tricks without the low gravity, actual use of those rails that you kinda clip through in 8 with the rail grinding feature, and shortcut potential, especially at the end. Starview Peak. While I wouldn't say this is peak, it's still pretty nice. It's basically a hybrid of Rosalina's Ice World and Ice Ice Outpost, with the Comet Observatory and Mario Galaxy stuff from Rosalina's Ice World, and the green and yellow split paths from Ice Ice Outpost. But also at the same time, it's got its own things, the water section with rings, and the fact that you can drive inside the observatory. The music is upbeat and fun, though if the layout wasn't so simple, it definitely would have been higher. And now, onto the A tier, the tracks that I find really good to great. Crown City 3. This variant has you going through an alleyway and taking a few turns before driving on the water for a bit. Once you get back onto the surface, you then take 2 more turns before reaching the finish line. The alleyway and water sections are really nice, although my only real complaint is with the layout basically being a simple rectangle, so it'll stay here for now. This goes for the whole area, but I love how they went all out in terms of the city archetype and the music, with the use of saxophones and synth. It is so nice. Choco Mountain. Holy shit, they industrialized this track to the point where it's so unrecognizable. The only things that resemble the original Choco Mountain are the map layout and the melody of the music, which rather than being in a western style, is now in a heavy metal style. This is no longer set in the mountains. Now it's a monster truck arena with charging trucks surrounding it. I like these changes. It just makes the track feel so fresh, especially considering the fact that we just got it in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Salty Salty Speedway, the closest to a Venice Tour City track we're getting. This track is basically made to take advantage of the overwater driving in this game, with about 70% taking place on the canals, while the rest takes place on the streets. It has a fairly simple layout but with lots of places to grind off, and the music sounds traditionally Italian with the accordions and strings. I like it. Wario's Galleon, or Wario Shipyard for the Americans. At first, I honestly didn't like this remake. The overwater driving thing on a track that originally was mainly underwater just wasn't right for me, and I wasn't too hot on how they orchestrated the remix. But I've grown to not mind these changes all too much. The overwater thing I can get over, and the music is really good. Another thing I really like is the neon teal that appears throughout the track, whether it be from the lights or the swinging anchor. Faraway Oasis. About time we got a Savannah track in the series. And it's very nice for what it is, driving on bridges, on water, even on a waterfall at the last section, with elephants, zebras, and giraffes in the background. Only which stuff like rolling armadillos or running animals weren't limited to the intermissions, and had a more original layout rather than being a mirrored riverside park. Crown City 2. This variant starts with you taking a left turn onto a road with cars to avoid before taking a right. You then drive through a skate park-like area with one big half-pipe that leads to an alleyway with rails to grind off of, which takes you through a little tunnel, onto the beach, and towards the finish line. Aside from the traffic, the alleyway with a narrow path for world standards, and places you go, the gameplay still remains fairly tame in my opinion. Peach Stadium 2, the much better variant. Seriously, why couldn't they just combine the two into one track in the Grand Prix mode? Anyways, the layout itself is quite elevated, with boost panels, ramps, pipes to avoid, rails, and mushroom shortcuts along the grass. As the third track in the Special Cup, it's nice that a track that takes place in Peach's castle rather than Bowser's castle gets to be the penultimate for once, though it's quite a simple one. Shy Guy Bazaar 2. This is the variant that takes you into Daisy's palace, with a top and bottom path going up, a split section, a spiral all the way down, a jump into the streets which you drive in until you reach the finish line. It's really cool, and I'm kinda sad that this is only exclusive to Versus Race when coming from Mario Stadium or Airship Fortress. Crown City 1. This variant starts out on the street before taking a left U-turn, through a tunnel and onto some buildings, which you can trick off of or grind on rail. Then there's platforms held by cranes which you can also trick off of, and at night time, as shown here, they light up. You then go through this large golden tire trophy, hop down onto the top of another building, take a right U-turn, and glide above the streets to the finish. Okay, the thought of just parkouring off of buildings and soaring above the streets is just badass. And this is in the Mushroom Cup of all cups. Just wow. Whistle Stop Summit. I'll say it all day if I have to. I like trains. This takes place in a mountain area themed around a steam train, and takes full advantage of the rail grinding gimmick. Throughout the track, there's always something to grind off of, usually the train tracks. It adds a lot to this track which would be quite boring otherwise. Oh, and also, realistically, I don't think the train is supposed to stay on the track on the sloped turn. It should tumble off, explode, and everyone dies. Just wanted to say that. Peach Beach. Oh my gosh, I did not expect something like this. This track actually has the route changing gimmick from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with the first lap being the regular Peach Beach on the Cataquaxa Pack 2, nice. But the second lap has you driving in a town area, while the final lap has you driving on the water to the finish. They really know how to catch us by surprise when we least expect it. Wario Stadium, the N64 track that went missing for nearly 30 years. It's good that it's finally been remade. And the remake itself is great. Actual trickable ramps, and this huge one before the end which makes you feel like a legend. It doesn't look horrifically ugly anymore, and the layout has been simplified. Okay, unlike Sky Garden or Sunset Wilds, Wario Stadium's case is kinda reasonable. It was way too long on the N64, but even then they could have just kept the same layout and done 2 laps instead. The reason why the long length was a problem on the N64 was that it made the track drag on, since all it can do is just really turn, since the ramps aren't trickable. And since the ramps are in World, plus the addition of rails to grind off of, it wasn't all too necessary to cut some of the track just to make it go faster. But I don't mind it. Toad's Factory. It was long overdue for a remake, but they finally did it, and it's just as beautiful as the original. While keeping its core elements such as the conveyor belts, crushers, moving platforms, bulldozers, and etc., it also adds some new accessible paths by the good old grinding gimmick, such as the section before the end with the steel bars, or a top path just before the crushers with a set of item boxes. The music is just as upbeat, catchy, and fun as the original, and yeah. Dandelion Depths. This one is quite underrated, I've got to say. I like how it's 2 distinct themes mixed into one. The first half, which takes place above the ground, is a red iron road with bridges and trees overgrowing. kinda like Steam Gardens from the Woody Kingdom in Mario Odyssey, while the other half is in a gorgeous blue underground cavern littered with dandelions and parabitty buds flying around while you drive in the water. The layout is fairly simple, but there's multiple places to rail grind and accessible alternate paths. Cheap Cheap Falls, World's equivalent to Ninja Hideaway. This track has you going past Japanese temples and driving on waterfalls. It is so visually beautiful, from the autumn trees and grass, the buildings surrounding the area, and the waterfall, especially the waterfall. It's overall fun to drive on, and I love the mix of traditional Japanese instruments and electric guitars in the music. Boo Cinema. Ghost tracks have usually been hit or miss. Tracks like Boo Lake, Broken Pier, and Luigi's Mansion are good in my opinion, though the SNES Ghost Valleys, Banshee Boardwalk, and Twisted Mansion are either average or bad. But in terms of Boo Cinema, this is easily the best out of the bunch. Firstly, it takes place in an old, early to mid 20th century cinema, and secondly, you actually drive into the projector screen, and there's an old film effect once you do so. I love it. If the layout was a bit more complex, it would definitely be a top 5. Crown City 4. As you'd expect, this is the great combination of all the Crown City variants, with the first lap having the alleyway and skate park of Crown City 2, an entire lap being Crown City 1, and the final lap being sort of its own thing while having a few turns from Crown City 3 before heading to the finish. I've already expressed my opinions on the 3 variants, so I don't really need to go in depth on why I really like this. The only things that would have pushed this to the S tier are if it had you driving on the beach like in 2 and on the water like in 3. It would have made it basically complete. Speaking of, the S tier is up next, the tracks that are just sweet applesauce. Bowser's Castle. They really went crazy with this one. It starts off fairly tame, going past the corridor split section, then taking a few turns with lava shortcut opportunities and lava bubbles to avoid, but then you're shot straight up from a lava tunnel into a thunderstorm. From here until the finish, you're basically jumping and gliding off different platforms with lava on either side, plus lava geysers and meteors to avoid. But here's the catch, you're going faster than you usually are, so you gotta be extra careful when navigating this section. I just can't help but enjoy this one to death. Dino Dino Jungle. My god did this one get redesigned hard. It went from a prehistoric jungle into Jurassic Park. It's now a research laboratory. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I love it. And they actually added more dinosaurs into the track, whether it be from the Triceratopses, which you can trick off the back of their heads, the Brachiosaurus-like dinosaurs, which you can rail grind off of their backs, and T-Rexes, which you gotta avoid. Oh yeah, and they replaced one of the bridges with this plesiosaur-like dinosaur, kinda just chilling, which you can also rail grind off of its back, plus the pterodactyls flying in the background are still there. Lastly, the remix is just straight fire, now adding rock elements like the drums and the electric guitar. I fucking love the electric guitar, holy shit. Airship Fortress, the track we all wanted for the Booster Course Pass, but DS Mario Circuit robbed its position. Though in actuality, it was a blessing. If Airship Fortress was remade in a deluxe, it would have resembled its tour version with the orange sky and track just above the sea of lava, which, while fine, just isn't it for me. Here, however, it mostly closely resembles its original DS counterpart, with some 3DS elements like the bonsai builds and glide ramp, and I'm all for it. With a luscious purple sky, at sunrise at least, the track taking place high above the sky, and so on. Other than the added rails, there now being an off-road shortcut near the end, and some other changes here and there, it's still the same old Airship Fortress we know and love. DK Spaceports. This beautiful rocket launch side of a track, resembling 25M from Donkey Kong, opens up the top 5. The first section is a few turns before a glider, giving us a good look at what we're in for, and this giant Robo DK who climbs all the way to the top. The second section has you dodging oncoming barrels, with there being a few jump pads. The third section is similar to the second, except the barrels are coming sideways, and there's ramps to trick off of. The fourth section has you grinding on rails, with a few ramps leading back to those rails if you fall off. The fifth section has walls, giving you the ability to wall ride, with a few more ramps in between. And the final section has the Robo DK from before, throwing large barrels at you, in which you drive under to reach the finish line just at the top of the rocket ship. This final section is sort of like a boss fight, and it's really cool. This track is just one big Donkey Kong reference, and I love it. Way too good for the Mushroom Cup. Acorn Heights, the continuation of the Big Tree tracks. First it was Maple Treeway, then there was Wild Woods, and now there's Acorn Heights. For what it is, it's definitely a worth one.
Starting out with a few turns, going past a tunnel with what looks like to be little rooms, leading to a short wooden path with wooden rails on both sides, and a glider at the end, leading to this section with huge leaves and mushroom trampolines to trick off of, plus vines to grind off of, and some wigglers to avoid. The last section is split into 4 separate paths with huge acorns rolling down to dodge, and some more vines to grind off of, all of them joining back together just before the finish. And is it just me, or does the music kinda resemble Athens Dash? Great Question Block Ruins. It lives up to the mouthful name. It's great. The entire track takes place in a huge sky-high ruin, mostly made out of gold, and of course has this giant question block you drive through just after the beginning of the race. There's plenty of ramps to trick off of, clouds to bounce off of, and rails to grind off of. And I know I haven't mentioned shortcut potential, but this one might have the craziest out of all the world tracks that I can't resist talking about it. For example, you hop off here, trick on one of the golden rings, ride on the wall for a short bit before going back onto the main road. That is so fucking sick. While not as groundbreaking as the ultra shortcuts in Wii, it is still so epic just to pull off. Dry Bones Burnouts, a lava track which has the structure of a Dry Bones themed around Dia de los Muertos. Simply a work of a genius. There are so many alternate paths scattered around the track, either easily accessible or require a rail or wall grind. It is so pleasing to look at with all the colourful patterns mixed with the lava aesthetic, and the Mexican style music is just the cherry on top. Nothing else needs to be said about this. Well, one more track to go, but this one is so amazing that S tier doesn't define it enough, and that's why I'm giving it its own tier, the W tier, because it is just peak. Rainbow Road. Holy mushroom heads. This, never would I have thought a Mario Kart track would be such a grand celebratory adventure, more so than 3DS Rainbow Road. Just a single glimpse of the minimap tells you what you're in for. Let's go through this section by section. First section has you take a few ramps to trick off of, through a big spiral, going past a large 45-degree tilted turn with the zoomies like in Bowser's Castle, tricking off a few more ramps, and taking a split path. Nothing too out of the ordinary for a Rainbow Road. The Rainbow Road tiles themselves look so beautiful, the music here is so magical, and those clouds. The second section is where it really starts to get interesting. You're launched off a glide ramp before landing onto a gorgeous sky island, driving on some sparkling water before driving back onto the Rainbow Road, taking a split path with the zoomies again, while the train from Whistle Stop Summit flies past, glowing neon rainbow this time. The music tends to sound quieter here, with choirs and beautiful saxophones lingering in midway. The third section launches you into space, onto a space station, and has you dodging star swamps and taking sharp turns. This rainbow portion of the space station reminds me a lot of Mario Galaxy and those Run Flash games. I love the synthetic electronic version of the theme played here. I don't know why, it just makes me feel nostalgic. This section overall is what Wii U Rainbow Road tried to do, but failed miserably. I take back what I said about space stations and Rainbow Road not mixing well, because they clearly do, you just gotta execute it right. As you go into the final section, that final lap jingle though, you go all the way back down, going through another and crazier split section with boost pads and ramps. The train goes by again, this time carrying a Robo DK, a T-Rex, and all sorts of other things you saw throughout your journey. You take a few final drifts before gliding to the finish. What an adventure. This section's music has that great sense of finale to it, and throughout all of this, you're able to see the world map down below. This entire track is the longest section track in the series, but everything it has to offer makes it all worth it. It doesn't feel like just a celebration of making it this far. It feels like an overall celebration of how far this series has come. Nintendo really gave it their all with this one, and that is why it is my absolute favorite track in Mario Kart World. Well, that's it for today. Again, Mario Kart World is an absolute masterpiece, and you know what? Experiencing it now, I must say that every cent that went towards the Switch 2 and this game was worth it, for me anyways. But I do understand people's complaints. $450 for the Switch 2 and $80 for Mario Kart World, $50 if you get the bundle, is quite a lot of money. But with all the work that went into them, I kinda see why it's that much. It's just so good. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.